a couple of minutes, and then people start trickling in.
No worries.
All right, welcome everybody to another night of the Whiskey Crusaders. We're excited here for the Big Stick Whiskey Night. We got Mike here, as the owner and founder of this cool company. I hope you guys heard the announcement last week about the Whiskey Castle and the Patreon, so you guys check that out. And like I said, we're actually starting on time tonight, which I know is rare for you guys to see that, so which is good. And we'll see what lovely ad we get here on the lovely phone. When we start this thing up, we just like to see what lovely ad YouTube gives us for the evening. Let's see what we got. What is this? Oh, for lovely communist TikTok. We will not be getting that. No one likes that. Alrighty then. So, all right. Here's Colin. So, good to see you. All right. So, Mike, as I said, he's the founder and owner here of the Big Stick. I guess you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into it.
Sure thing. Thanks, everybody. I'm glad to be with you, Matt, tonight. So, love to be with fellow whiskey connoisseurs. And I started Big Stick about 4 years ago with my best friend and my partner, Joe Baker. He's retired Lieutenant Colonel Marine Corps. And we started it really just because very simple reasons. We were looking for something fun to do as a hobby. I'm a frustrated engineer. I love to look at things and say, why can't I do better? Yeah. And so I came up with this idea, and I called up Joe. First thing I did, because he's a lawyer and he does contracts for a living, right?
Makes sense.
Okay. Marine, so he knows his stuff. He's got multiple law degrees and 25 years experience. So I said, "What do you think about this idea? Starting a bourbon company?" He goes, "I'm in." I said, "Okay."
Well, that works. That was easy.
Legal advice. I'm in. I said, "You haven't heard how much it's going to cost? Doesn't matter. I'm in." It's like, okay. So much for caution. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. We met in New Orleans. Our wives have been friends. He lives in Florida. I live in Houston. So we met on New Year's, and I had a bunch of R&D projects. So we shared those over New Year's with their wives. They've been friends since sixth grade. Joe, his wife, and my wife all went to UT.
Okay, cool.
And so I'm the odd person out. I'm a northerner. I came down here from the north and decided I like the warm weather, and I'm going to stick it.
Solid choice.
Texas. Yeah.
It's too cold up there. I can't do it.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm done.
Where did you come from up in the north?
I grew up in New York City.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, my parents grew up on Long Island. So
I went to college in Michigan, got my electrical engineering degree, worked for General Motors for almost 9 years, and then decided I hated snow, and I'm out of here.
I don't blame you.
So, yeah.
Hey, Scott, good to see you. Here's a cool bottle. So, you want to tell us a little about the bottle and the label and all that cool stuff? So everybody looks like.
So, the original concept was is that I looked at it and said, well, why can't whiskey be like wine? When you have wine in a bottle, it ages in the bottle. Mm-hmm. Well, I soon found out you can't say whiskey ages in a bottle. That's technically illegal, right? So it finishes. And I learned that there's all kinds of marketing gimmicks too about single, double oaked whiskeys. Mm. And, I'm an engineer. So if you have a double oaked whiskey, as everybody knows, you take it from one barrel, you put it in the second barrel, but that's a spent barrel.
Right.
Well, I'm a simple guy. Spent means used, right? So why would you put it in a used barrel to begin with? So, I mean, it adds a little bit of flavor. Yeah. But I still think it's more of a marketing gimmick. So I decided, why not actually put a piece of oak wood in there? And I bought a chemistry set on Amazon, got all my literally a measured, poured, researched, 20 or 30 different brands and their mash bills, and did the old mad scientist thing, and so many ounces of this and that, and mixed up and tried. I tried different woods, tried oak, tried maple, tried a couple different things. Oak obviously came out the best.
Okay.
And different proof levels as well. And so this is what we came up with. So what we settled on was obviously Big Stick Bourbon. And we joke about it. We say the size of the stick matters. Everybody likes to laugh at that. But it's actually true, because there's a lot of engineering here. The stick is machined. It's not just cut wood and thrown in the bottle. Okay. Every surface is machined and sanded. There's no sharp edges. It goes through about 6 or 8 different hand operations. So each one's handcrafted. Okay. And then on top of that, the actual size of the stick does matter, because the surface area ratio of the stick relative to the liquid is almost identical to what it would be if the bourbon was still in the 53-gallon barrel.
Okay.
So that's why we did that. So first we had the idea and the concept, then we matched the ratio of the wood surface to the bourbon, to the liquid, and then we got the bottle designed around it.
Okay, interesting. It's like, it's it's what, 750. Yeah, 750. It's like
750, right.
it's like, you had to have it designed around it because there's no other way you get that shape. So I guess they're all custom made bottles essentially. Your glass that you had picked out.
So there's a lot of symbolism here as well.
Okay.
My family's all served in different armed forces. Joe, of course, 21 years Marine Corps. So I have a deep, abiding respect and admiration for all of our service people. To give you an idea on the label, we painstakingly worked with artists for several months to get the label right. The guy on the label's Odin, the All-Father. Okay, the warrior spirit in all our military. My dad and my uncle were in the Army, so if you notice, he's got the Captain America shield, holding the Captain.
Okay, very cool.
On the other side, he's got the spear. My nephew actually just retired from the Navy SEALs, tip of the spear. So we've got that, and then on the back, on the barcode, we've actually got the boat floating over the barcode for the Navy and the Coast Guard. So
that's awesome. Wow, that's lots and lots of family in the military.
For those of you who are served in the Corps, our company name is Semper Fi Brands, LLC, Texas Corporation. And the red, the blue, and the gold, if you've got a keen eye, they're exact color matches for the Marine Corps uniform.
Oh, that's very cool.
So, awesome. Yeah, all kinds of simple things on the bottle, like the gold embellishments. Turn it sideways, it kind of represents, the pant legs, the stripes on the pant legs. Gold on the top, if you can see the button is very similar in size and shape to the Marine Corps dress uniform buttons.
Okay. Very cool.
Okay. So a lot of things like that. And then if you hold two bottles together, what you'll notice is that there's a gap.
Yeah, I saw that. I knew I had taken a picture. There was a gap. Yeah.
There is a gap. So there's a gap there because this looks like a soldier standing at attention. So the shoulders are slightly wider than the waist.
Very cool.
So all that symbolism is in the bottle, even in the glass itself. And when you hold it, coincidentally, it just feels right. There's some about it. I can't explain it, but when we designed it, when you hold it
feels perfectly for your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in addition, even though it's expensive for most bars, it's not a well drink.
No.
You can grab the neck and just pour it with the neck. So it's from a Saver glass. It's extra white flint, which is a super premium glass.
Yeah, it's like, look at the bottom there. It's some serious glass there.
Some serious glass, I'm telling you. We've dropped these. I don't suggest you try this, but we have dropped them and not broken a bottle.
Nice. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but don't test it out.
I'm not testing this out to find out the hard way how I broke one.
So
make a mess.
So that's the story behind that. And I know you mentioned earlier you want to know about why is the pour spout in there?
Yeah, because I noticed that I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so there's an interesting pour spout. I've never seen one quite like that.
Yeah.
I was wondering what the reason was behind it.
So the in-bottle pour spout is, we were initially wondering if you turn it over, would the stick fall out? Right?
Okay.
Well, it really doesn't. What you don't know about this design is that because the wood is such of dimension, this neck, this ID, it's halfway between a 750 and a 1.75 liter opening.
Okay.
This is not, it's about 2 or 3 millimeters wider than the standard 750 mil.
Okay.
So it's not your standard design because it's got to be wider to accommodate the stick.
Right.
So this is actually, it's like a hybrid neck design just because of the opening. Okay. And so even that's different. But when I was talking to Joe, of course, the cautious lawyer, he said, well, I think we ought to add this pour spout. I said, well, it's going to cost a little bit more money. It's going to add to the cost of the product. Yeah. Doesn't add to the flavor,
Right.
Right. So you sure you want to do that? And he said, well, I know my Marines. Some of them are going to try and take the stick out and light the bottle on fire. So it's like, okay.
Okay.
So it's like, you're right. Marines would do that. So it's like, okay. So we do that. But actually, what turns out, the stick, because of the design and the bottle being so narrow, it really doesn't fall out.
Okay, yeah, I kind of figured it probably didn't, but I didn't know if when you poured, if it specifically was that way when it needs to run up the stick, whatever, when you poured it out. But that makes sense, though, why you stuck it in there.
So
not that they wouldn't dig it out anyway and still have fun with it.
Well, that he said, at least that
extra
way,
effort.
We tried. We made a little extra. Right. Okay. So just for the record, you really can't light alcohol on fire until you get to about 140, 150 proof.
Okay.
So, but you wouldn't want to light this on fire only. Just sip it over.
Right. For the best.
Yeah, it's designed for you to enjoy.
You're kind of wasting your alcohol at that point if you decide to light it on fire.
Yeah.
Use that for cheap, crappy vodka. Let's not do that with good whiskey.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so can you tell me the science behind the stave and like why that width and length and everything?
Sure. Well, that surface, like I said, that surface area, if you do the math, that approximates the inner surface area of a 53-gallon barrel. Okay.
Right.
Coincidentally, the stick, it's about 10 inches tall.
Okay.
And my wife's a big fan of Aerosmith. She just loves my big 10-inch record.
Yeah, jeez. That's hysterical. Well, it's a good reason, I guess. Why not?
Hey, why not? Right.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, if we're going to do this in business, I mean, there's enough stress involved. You might as well have fun along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we always try to, keep a cheerful outlook about stuff as we go along.
Okay. Sounds good.
The truth is, if you look at throughout history, they've tried different kinds of wood to use for barrels and aging. And, some people French oak, but in general, oak is the preferred wood. Obviously not pine. You could try pine. It would taste like pine salt.
Nasty.
Right. But American oak was also plentiful and cheap, right?
Right. Makes sense.
So it was plentiful. It was cheap. The settlers had access to a lot of it. And it turns out it tasted good. And they didn't know why. It just did. Well, now we have science on our, and this is Wikipedia, it's not me, right? But you can look up, and white oak, all natural, has about 140 chemicals in it. And 3 or 4 of those are fructoses, which are wood sugars.
Okay.
So if you your high school chemistry, glucose or sucrose table sugar, it's a simple sugar, which means simple means it's a smaller molecule, right?
Okay.
Fructoses, fruit sugars or wood sugars, are much more longer chains, and they're much more complex.
Okay.
Sugars. So what happens is when you char those, you get multiple layers of flavor, because you don't just get one sugar, you get multiples. Then on top of that, like cooking classes, where you char sugar, you get caramel. Right. So that's all natural. Then on top of that, the resins contain multiple, sometimes they call them esters or flavonoids or aromatics. The chemical name is phenolic acid. Phenolic acid is a weak acid. There's several of those as well in here.
Okay.
And those are precursor chemicals to making vanilla extract in the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
By all natural charring the piece of wood, you get multiple layers of caramel and vanilla. Okay.
Very cool. What char level is the stick char to that's in there?
So people, that's another thing. People, use those numbers kind of differently sometimes. I would say it's a 3 to 4, probably.
3 to 4, okay.
Yeah, you get to a 5 and you get pretty close to charcoal.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a Marshall there at Rough Spirits. How's it going? Okay. My child apparently is making experiments. All right. Thank you. Bye. All right. That's lovely. Deciding to melt things for science reasons.
Well, you can always teach them how to char sugar, make caramel, make flan.
There you go.
There you go.
She would like that. Yes, Violet. And then what are you able to tell us the mash bill on, or are you not allowed to tell the mash bill?
I am, but I choose not to. So it's 4 grain, and the reason we do that is to keep it secret. Just because what we did is we experimented with so many different kinds.
Okay.
But we decided if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't.
Okay.
And that's just the way we're going to handle it. But I will say, some people have said, is it a high rye? And the answer is no, it's not a high rye.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can tell from the taste it's not.
Well, but so that gave us the idea to come out with the rye whiskey.
Okay. Okay.
And the rye whiskey, we decided again, we tried to, different mash bills and all. And what I can say is the rye whiskey.
Yeah. Yes. I see
Yeah,
this.
the only difference is the green on the bottom. The green label says rye whiskey, and then the rye
Okay.
cinnamon has the crimson label on the bottom.
Okay.
So the rye whiskey, uniquely, is very interesting because first of all, look at it, how dark it is.
Yeah, it's quite dark.
Never seen a rye whiskey that dark. I've tried a lot of different rye whiskeys. Many are much lighter.
Right.
Ours is the color more of a bourbon, and that's
Right.
the stick has that effect on it.
Okay.
But well, tell me if you can guess what the mash bill is on the rye.
I'm guessing 95.5.
But now taste it, because it doesn't taste. It's not blindingly, peppery. I think
No, it is quite nice though.
It's much smoother than just getting a mouthful of pepper.
Right. Yeah, and doesn't have the anise either on it. That a lot of people or dill or anything like that.
Right. Some of the rye whiskeys can, I guess you could say they're sharp, little sharp on the palate. And some people that I've tasted say it tastes more like a 70%. 70, 75 instead of a 95. So we did that because we could show that rye whiskey doesn't have to be as harsh. It can still be, very smooth drinking.
Right.
So, now, the side effect from the char on the stick, which is nice, it's charcoal itself settles your stomach.
Okay. So
with the char in there and that being distributed throughout, it turns out that none of this has that harsh burn going down. So especially when I taste a lot of people in the stores, a lot of the ladies buy for their husbands or boyfriends. And I said, you try it. And they say, I don't drink bourbon. I'll try it anyway. Oh, wow, it's really smooth. I think I could drink this with, my husband or boyfriend because it doesn't have the harsh burn.
Okay, nice.
And so that's the byproduct. The charcoal actually soothes your stomach.
Interesting. I did not know that. Hey, Sam, Swami, good to see you guys.
So if you have a bourbon, if you've ever done this or, been fortunate enough to see it, when you dump a barrel, there's all kinds of junk that comes out.
Yeah, there's all sorts of nasty stuff coming out of there. That's for sure.
And it has to be filtered. When you filter it, you filter out a lot of that. They filter out some of the flavor, some of the color. So I believe we found a way to put that back into it.
Okay.
Without the chunky bits of charcoal.
Well, yeah, that's a plus in our lives. We don't need chunks in there.
Yeah.
Let's get those raw cast bottles that have all sorts of fun floaty things in them.
Yeah. So we do have this is like I said, this is machined and smooth and sanded. And some of the bottles you may notice there may be a little bit of residue in the bottom, and it's so fine. It's like if you shake it up, it goes away because that just shows you that it's real.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because this bottle actually, because it's down, it's just barely moving. It's like almost like the bottom of the glass is burnt. It's a cool look to it, though.
Yeah, but
is you guys stuff chill filtered or non-chill filtered?
Non-chill filtered.
Non-chill filtered. Okay, awesome. That's the good way to do it.
Okay.
Way we like it, at least in the nerd whiskey world.
Well, see, that's the thing about bourbon. I'm an engineer. I designed this product because I like it, right?
Yeah.
And I figured that, if I like it, I could sell it. I could be sincere with people. But at the same time, you want it to appeal to a broad range of people.
Right.
So the first thing that happened, the first couple of months we introduced this, everybody said, this is really great. Now, do you have a barrel proof? It's like, why don't you buy the first one? Can you buy the first batch before I make the second batch? So a lot of people, the bourbon guys, want to try 6 different varieties. It's like, okay, we heard you. We're going to get there. We've got some barrels aging. We want to do maybe like a 4-year-old barrel proof.
Okay.
So what I can tell you is we hope to get that out later on this year, maybe for Christmas.
Okay, cool.
Probably introduce it in Texas. So Texas is our home state. We'll do that first.
Okay,
and because we love our military and we always want to try and make this military theme. The other thing I didn't tell you is everything so far has been 95 proof. And the 95 proof is symbolic because we donate 5% of our profits to military charities.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I knew you said the 5%. That's why. That's very cool.
That's why the 95. So even that's symbolic.
Okay, that's very cool. How
So
old is it approximately as well? I didn't ask you that.
the bourbon, well, most everything is in the 3 to 4 year
Three
range.
to 4 years range. Okay.
Yeah. So it's over straight bourbon. We
Okay.
debated about whether or not to put straight bourbon on the label. Some people, and again, not disparaging anybody, but some people, as you know, they say straight bourbon. It's 2 years and 1 day, and
Right.
it's slammed in the bottle. And so,
Right. Right.
we didn't want to do that either. We would just want to say it's a premium bourbon. Every time we do tastings, we sell out. So people
Mm.
love it for what it is. So
Awesome. Because how many barrels are you guys currently aging approximately at this point in time with this?
uh, a lot.
A lot. Okay.
Yeah, as many as we can afford. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So yeah, they're all different ages. Obviously, they're all different ages. And
Mm.
anyways, but no, we're doing fine in terms of
Okay.
that. We've got plenty to supply.
Okay.
It's really keeping up with the distribution because
Yeah.
the distributors, we're in about 10 or 12 states. We've expanded. We've got, I don't
Okay.
even know, 500 or 1,000 stores around the country.
Okay. So you're in a lot
Uh,
of stores. Okay. Okay.
we've got 4 different mail order partners on the website.
Oh, nice.
Uh, for it's bigstickspirits.com. But for the charities too, we put links to all the charities. So if you like a
Okay.
particular charity, you can donate, yourself on your own.
Sure.
We don't take your money. We're not, we don't do that.
Mm.
We're not bankers for the charities or anything. We just like these people. We recommend certain ones, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it turns out it's also it wound up being a nice number, the 95 proof. It's also good karma. Apparently, Joe did the research on these folks, and a lot of them, um, 95% of the money raised in these charities goes to the intended recipients.
Oh, that's very good then. Yeah.
So it's a nice number for good karma too. So their
Okay.
expenses are very low as well.
That's always a plus.
Always a
Yeah.
plus.
There's nothing worse than a charity that gives 5% to charity, 95% to themselves.
Yeah, if you start looking at some of these reports, you think, I don't know, But
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these guys are small. We do events. We'll probably do some events in Dallas this year.
Okay.
Um, in the next month or so, in Houston, there's a Davidoff cigar bar in the Woodlands.
Okay.
One of the few. There's only like 200 around the world, I think. But
Oh, wow.
I'm
Okay.
supposed to do like one of these events for, I believe it's the Wounded Warriors
Hmm.
charity. So I'm going to go and do a
Awesome.
tasting and an explanation, meet the maker kind of a thing. So
Very cool. That should be fun.
yeah.
Lots of good charitable work there, certainly. That's very nice. All right. Let's see. We talked about that. Do you want to move on to the cinnamon stick one? You got some
Yeah,
other
let's talk about that one real quick.
do that, and then we'll go to some more questions and more science nerdy stuff. So
Sure.
this one intrigued me. Now I know that I guess the ryes are special here, and I guess you can only find those at Total Wine. Is that I guess correct?
Right. That was just a like a winter release.
Okay.
I think they call it Barrel Select Pick for Total
Okay.
Wine.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. It's barrel. That's it. That's it.
Right. So that was kind of a special thing we did. It was really just a test market.
Okay.
1,200 bottles of the rye, only 600 of the cinnamon. So it
Oh
is
wow,
limited.
just
Yeah,
a few bottles. Okay.
just a few, but only for Texas. Yeah, only for Texas.
Wow, that's a lot of cinnamon.
Yeah.
So the cinnamon stick. So yeah, explain how that works on this with the cinnamon.
Sure. So again, we joke around. If one stick is good, two's better, right?
Okay.
So what happened is we experimented. I like to experiment with all different. I didn't want to
Oh,
put any flavoring in there. Look at how
okay.
dark it is. That's incredibly dark.
Yeah, I was
Today.
like, I didn't even realize now that they're actually cinnamon sticks. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
It's a cinnamon stick in the bottle.
But yeah, that's cool.
Zero. We don't put
That's wild.
zero. There's no cinnamon sugar. There's no cinnamon hot flavored syrup or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not Fireball.
No, it's not. Again, I mean, that's
It's
a great
real.
selling whiskey. In fact, I think, as I understand it, I don't even know, they got pushback from the TTB. It's not even legally whiskey, from what I understand. I could be
Correct.
wrong. I don't know, but this is from the source. We
Okay.
buy restaurant grade cinnamon, and
Okay.
the bottles are filled first at the distillery. Okay. And we
Okay.
use another Marine friend of ours in Liberty Hill, Texas, just
Okay.
north of Austin. Um,
Okay. Okay.
so people have asked us the question, well, do you put the stick in first and then fill it? Because each bottle, legally, right at the tip of the neck here, or
Mhm.
the base of the neck, that's the 750 mil line to be legal.
Ah. Okay.
Okay. So we fill it with the liquor first, and then we put the stick in.
Okay. Okay. That makes
Right.
sense. Okay.
So we're not going to cheat anybody for 5 mils. I'm not going
Sure.
to,
Sure. Sure.
right?
Sure.
Our integrity is worth a whole lot more than 5 mils of whiskey.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
so what happens when you do that, though, is again more science. This has to be extremely heavy, thick glass, because once you fill that,
Mhm.
the fill level is right at the base of the neck, but it
Mhm.
actually comes up about another quarter of an inch to a half an inch
Okay.
when you put the stick in. So what happens is that there's less of an air gap. If there's less of an air gap, if you have a cheap glass and you ship it somewhere that's hot, or you ship it to Denver where the air pressure changes, if it's cheap glass, it could explode.
Oh, super. Yeah.
If,
That would not be good.
yeah, so I mean, little things like that.
That's
Uh,
very important. I'm
So you
glad
don't
you
want
thought
to
about
ever
that part.
if you overfill a bottle. I've heard friends, unfortunately, leave a bottle of whiskey in their car in Texas
We all
over
know
the
how that ends very
summertime, and they come
poorly.
back and the thing's exploded in the back seat. Yeah. So
Yeah, we had a friend that he moved here from New Jersey and didn't realize that, and he left, I think, 10 bottles of Four Roses in the back of his trunk
oh,
of different recipes. I think he
oh,
lost 4 or 5 of them, just
really?
all over his trunk. They exploded, left them in the trunk and had a
Wow. Okay.
mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was,
So uh,
sucks.
yeah, yeah. So it's very heavy glass for a lot of different reasons, for the style, the design, the durability, and the extra, they call it headspace, the extra headspace
Yeah.
on the neck.
Plus, I like your nice thick screw tops you guys are using too. You don't have to worry about corks exploding on you, which is a huge plus.
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. We're looking at again for the $49 bourbon, probably another year, because
Okay.
it's straight bourbon, which will be the basic 2-year-old bourbon. Looking
Okay.
at maybe a metal screw on, and with the integrated pour spout, similar to
Okay.
what you do for a 1.75.
Okay. Very cool.
But
Um,
hopefully the new design with the metal, I want to have the metal look like a shotgun shell casing
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd
on
be
the
really
top.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like that idea. So they do have a question: is how do you stop it from extracting in the bottle? Is there a certain time period it stops, or does it constantly extract?
So yeah, no, good question. So the sticks are the sticks, right? I mean, they
Mm,
are a certain weight, a certain mass. It's fresh wood. It's new. Okay, it's not dry. It's not dried wood. It hasn't been sitting in the sun forever. So it's
mm.
it's directly from the mill.
Okay.
Okay, American made, American mills. We have a corp to corp license with the wood mill here in Houston.
Okay.
Um, So at that size of the stick, it has X amount of moisture in it and resin, right?
Okay.
So what happens over time is, and one of the reasons we did this is because you put the stick in, and after 2 to 3 weeks, it dramatically changes. It changes fast. Okay,
Okay.
but over time, that starts to taper off. So
Okay.
I mean, my palate, I don't want to tell everybody what to taste. My palate may or may not be the most sensitive in the world. But my humble opinion is that after 6 months, it probably tapers off, because there's,
Okay.
there's only so much resin in the world. Now,
Sure. 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 And it's
the good
gonna.
news is that on the average, if you take any whiskey has alcohol in it and that evaporates. You put it into an organic barrel that's
Mm.
wood, that's also organic, it's porous. It evaporates, right?
Right.
So every time you do that, every year you do that, you lose approximately 3%
Right.
from evaporation. They call it the angel share.
Mm.
So the reason we believe this is better than a double oaked is because in double oaked, you're still putting the whiskey in the second barrel, still a
Right.
barrel, still organic, it still evaporates. It's 95 proof. We put the stick in, nothing evaporates. We seal it.
Right.
So we keep the angel share.
There you go.
And we actually trademarked, we make the angels thirsty.
That's hilarious.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be one of our commercials next year. We make the
Oh,
angels thirsty.
jeez.
Maybe in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. There you go. Only cost you like $6 million,
Oh,
something
God, yeah,
insane.
I know. So what happens is when you do that, of course, the first thing that evaporates, the angels share, is all the finer flavor components, right? And so because we keep that, a lot of people have said they taste 20 or 30 different kinds of flavors.
Okay.
Whiskey Advocate said decadent, cacao nibs and on, and strawberry cream. And it was just when Whiskey Advocate, the first word of their review was decadent, I figured we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
So yeah, we've won silver medals, gold medals, 91 points rating, Ultimate Spirits Challenge.
Nice.
So we did, we entered the contest, we got our marks, and we're very proud of that.
Okay, awesome. It's good to hear. So, what other sticks or staves are you guys planning to use here in the future? Any experiments you guys are working on, or other types of whiskey?
I've tried maple, and people have said it does work.
Okay.
But it's very, very mild. It's very hard to taste.
Okay.
So that's another reason I was going to mention for the 95 proof is because if you do 80 proof, you'll come up with a different flavor profile in the stick.
Sure.
If you do 110, you'll come up with a different flavor profile because the percentage of alcohol will dilute a different percentage of the resins and the chemicals that are naturally occurring in the wood.
Okay.
So if you're a 110, 115 proof kind of guy, you're already used to the stronger flavors anyway. Right. But for the average person, they're not.
Right.
And the 80 proof, you get a much more mellower flavor. But again, my humble opinion, because I've tasted the full range, I thought 95 was best. People like a little bit extra oomph in the bourbon for 95, and it appeals to a lot of folks. It makes, like I said, it makes a great gift. You're not going to give somebody a $14 bottle of bourbon as a present.
Right.
Maybe once.
Yeah, once. They're like, we're no longer friends.
Yeah, right. So I did 95 is kind of a compromise, midpoint between, flavor, intensity, everything. And then, of course, as soon as I did that, everybody said, we want the higher proof. So we heard you. We're going to do that eventually. Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay. What high proof are you looking to go to?
Oh, barrel strength.
Strength. Okay.
And again, that depends on the age of the barrels. Actually, the older the barrels, you might not get 115, 118.
Okay.
And again, this is just a humble opinion. If you start when you barrel it at 140 proof or higher, you're bordering on, it's more like moonshine rather than bourbon. Right. And then you get into, I don't want to get into the laws and the technicalities, but and again, as I understand it, I think bourbon has to be proofed supposedly at 120 to 130. That's at least the accepted range when you first barrel it. Some folks do go up to 140 and a little higher when they barrel it. And again, I think that extracts some of the harsher flavors. So, it's all personal preference.
Sure.
It's highly subjective. So, but anyways, we're going to try and offer a few different versions, and blends and try and, support the market that way. So we try to give everybody a little something special.
Okay.
We got some questions.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, so it says, what proof is there that long term with a stick or doesn't make it gross? Been around maybe 2 years, maybe want to see what a bottle after 5 years with a stick in it.
Well, they sell bourbon that's 20 years old.
Valid.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that if you've never seen a barrel that's 5, 10, 15 years old.
Good point. They're nasty looking.
Yeah.
But they taste great. So.
Well, in a distillery, the only thing sanitary is what's inside the barrel.
Valid point.
Not what's outside the barrel. I've apprenticed at distilleries. I've run mash tuns, and you wear shorts or cheap jeans and probably Crocs, because you're going to get dirty. And and so there's nothing sanitary about this except what's inside the barrel or what's inside the bottle.
I just want to combine them and see what happens with the rye and the bourbon together.
Okay.
For science experiment here.
There you go. Science.
We always like to blend things on this show, so just to see what happens.
Right. So what I will tell you, the surprise is that all three of these make a killer old fashioned.
Yeah. Okay.
If you tasted the cinnamon, Yeah, I think I have a pretty good nose, probably better than my palate. I would say the cinnamon is probably 80% on the nose and 20% on the palate.
Okay.
But in terms of a drink recipe, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
When you make your old fashions, what are you adding to it?
So the traditional way is obviously just simple syrup, right?
Right.
Simple syrup, orange bitters, Angostura. I've got actually some chocolate walnut bitters that we've
Oh,
used
okay.
before, which is actually really good. Yeah, but
Mhm.
not too far away from the traditional. We have recipes on our website, but we did a samurai stick, which is really cool. It was
What's that?
a sushi restaurant. A samurai stick is our bourbon. Instead
Okay.
of instead of a traditional old fashioned, you
Mhm.
can make it's like a Japanese black tea syrup.
Oh, okay.
So you do a black tea syrup instead of the traditional simple syrup,
Mhm.
and again some bitters, and it's phenomenal.
Okay.
So that's a little different, and
Did
it goes
you?
great with sushi. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's the next question is how's that with sushi? Okay.
Oh,
I
it's
bet it's
phenomenal.
good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, that's really nice combined. I like that. I'll
there
have
you
to
go.
try.
So now everybody's got to buy all three bottles.
Yeah, exactly. Problem solved. Just buy all three. Yes, Tom. This is correct. Yeah, Tom says bourbon is distilled to a max of 160 and then barreled at 125 or less. Okay, cool. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, barreled at 125, right? But I do know some folks have advertised it's 130 or 140 when they barrel it. And so I don't know if that's legally bourbon, but that's not for me to say.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's not. I guess technically, I mean, you can make whiskey or light whiskey, of course, at that level with used barrels or virgin uncharred, but that's a different story. Okay, yeah, that's true, Cole. I guess we'll find out. I'm not that worried about it because I'm pretty confident it's not going to be round in 5 to 10 years. I'm sure it's going to be well drank by then, so I'm not really worried about it from a personal perspective.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, think about it. If the bourbon can go 10 or 20 years in the barrel in an
Yeah,
unsanitary environment, this is inside a sealed bottle.
right. I
It's
don't
it's not going to
see.
go anywhere.
Yeah, it's not facing the elements or anything either. So
No.
it should be fine. I don't see why it wouldn't be fine. I'm not horribly worried. Yeah, exactly, Tom. It's light whiskey, right?
Well, if you think about wine, wine is organic, and wine
Right.
does age in the bottle, right?
Yeah. So actually, the question Scott asked us that question actually earlier. Why, like, would wine ever want to stick a stick in wine? What would that do? Because, like you said, obviously, ages in the barrel as it is. Would that make it
Right.
too
So we've
tannic
we've
or?
talked about that. We've experienced obviously the wine, the alcohol content is a lot less.
Hmm.
And so it depends on the wine and it depends on the individual chemistry. But in a
Hmm.
situation like that, because the proof is much, much lower, there could
Hmm.
be a possibility for spoilage.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at 95 proof, no, 50,
Yeah, it's not.
50% alcohol, you're not gonna find
No,
it.
it's not going to make any difference. Yeah.
No. So that's really the thing with wine. And yes, we have talked. We're talking to some winemakers about doing that. Um,
Okay.
Wines are a funny beast.
Hmm.
If you know anything about that business, there's a whole industry around wine solids where they
Oh.
add solids to the wine, like a red wine. So
Hmm.
it gives it body, texture, and color, but
Oh.
allegedly zero flavor. So
Huh.
they'll take a
Okay.
wine that's somewhat translucent. Next thing you know, it looks like a Cabernet.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
wild. I don't think I
yeah.
so want to drink that per se, but okay.
Well, they can put additives in it. The labeling requirements are different.
Right.
Bourbon is probably the most strictest and highly regulated, whiskey in America,
Right.
right?
Right.
Just like tequila is for Mexico. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
with bourbon, you've got to be pretty strict.
Hmm.
But with everything else, it's kind of like the Wild West. So
Now, have you guys thought about doing like one of these with like a sherry or a port cask or anything like that down the line, or anything like finishing in one of those?
down the
I guess,
line, yeah.
okay. I'm interested to see what a stave that was like previously a port or a sherry stave, what that ended up testing like in here. It'd be interesting to see how that does.
Yeah, I do have an idea. I've got some R&D going on with
Okay,
regards
I
to
figured you probably did as the engineer in you. It's like there's no way you don't have this already happening to see what goes on long term. Have you tried like really funky woods that just ended up just horrible at all? Anything just crazy just went horribly wrong on you?
Um, well, we tried bourbon with cinnamon,
Okay.
and I think that came out a little too off.
So you just like added actual just like cinnamon itself to it?
Yeah, the rye whiskey is great because the rye whiskey has a natural profile
Uh-huh.
for a little bit more of the pepperiness, but the bourbon itself, it took away the carameliness and just gave it the cinnamon. So it was just it didn't come out right.
Okay.
We've
Interesting.
so we have legally we have a patent on this design, which is our.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
So we are talking to some friends in Mexico because we could do Big Stick tequila, we could do Big Stick rum.
Oh, that'd
So
be
there are other
interesting.
options in terms of that.
Okay.
As you know, what we'd have to do legally for tequila, tequila has to be made in Mexico, but
Right.
we'd have to make the sticks here in Texas and then ship them down
Chip
there.
them down. Okay.
And again, the bottles are specialty made, so we'd have to ship all the bottles, the caps, everything, and the
God, they
sticks,
get expensive.
and then it gets expensive, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's the
Okay.
thing.
Now, what about like Sotol? You guys thought about doing anything like that at all?
Well, mezcal, yeah,
With mezcal? Okay.
a mezcal. Looking at a mezcal because that way it could be American made, and again, because it's mezcal, so you could ship the juice here, and
Okay.
then you could bottle it accordingly. And
Okay.
we've also tried different char levels. And
Okay.
if you go with like a really light char, in my humble opinion, it tastes like the toasted. It tastes
Okay.
like a Chardonnay. I mean, you're not buying a
Yeah.
$70 bottle of bourbon, make it taste like a $10 bottle of Chardonnay.
No, I don't think I need to do that in my life. I think I'm good.
So
That's
we want to stick with if it's not first class and it's not something that you would consider
yeah.
on the back bar, it's not worth risking it.
Okay. Okay. Now, have you guys? And I know a lot of times the Irish will bring over here to America. And have you done anything with Irish whiskey at all? Tried that at all? Since you can bring it legally to the States and then bottle it here.
Yeah, we get R&D. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
R&D. Yeah,
Awesome.
there's only
Because
so many hours in a day.
oh yeah, for sure. So, how many current R
So
and
are you
Ds do you
looking
have
for a
sitting
part-time
around?
job on the bottling line?
There you go. Could be fun. Your
Okay,
job is to take all these woods and stick and see what happens
right.
every day. That would be very interesting. So, how many experiments do you currently have going on approximately?
Probably about 6.
6. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. And then usually in about 6 weeks or so is usually kind of when you know whether it's going to work out or not.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. And
Okay.
then what we do is like I keep my little logbook just like a good
Mhm.
little engineer, and I have version A, B, and C and D. And what I
Yeah.
may do is I may make like 3 or 4 bottles, right? And then I'll
Okay.
put a stick in one, then wait a month or wait 2 weeks, put another stick in the second one,
Mhm.
wait 2 weeks, have a control sample. So I'll have 3 or 4 different age
Mhm.
profiles as well as the original sample.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
you can determine, and it gets darker and darker and darker and darker.
Sure. Sure.
That doesn't mean the darkest is always the best flavor.
Right.
Yeah, and again, it's so subjective that you kind of
Sure.
have to guess your best and go for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Dean, good to see you there. Yes, it is. I guess $68. That's true. It's where I've seen it at. No, you should give it a whirl. I think it's good. I guess you guys. Yeah, because Dean, you're down. I think near Houston, so I'm sure you probably meet him up at a tasting somewhere down that you're down in the Houston area. Probably go check that out and hopefully buy a bottle.
Yeah.
All that good fun stuff. No, I think it's very good. Like I said, I was skeptical prior, but like so Aunt came at you was like, it's actually pretty good. So
Well,
I'm very
we're
excited.
pushing the boundaries. It's not a worm in the tequila.
Yeah.
Realize that
We don't.
it's a new kind of way to look at whiskey, and I
Mhm.
realize that when you push the boundaries, you get skeptics, and that's okay.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
give me a chance, try it, taste it. You like it, I'm sure you'll buy it.
yeah. No, it was good. I was pleasantly surprised how good it was. So
See, there you
I'm
go. But that's
very, very happy.
typical. Yeah, that's a typical response. Who are you? Where you come from? You haven't lived all your life in Kentucky. It's like, no, I'm an engineer. I understand chemistry, science.
Yeah.
It's okay.
All right. Any other fun stories you want to regale us with?
Fun stories. Oh boy. What else? Well, let's see. In a couple weeks, we're due to be in Florida. There's our distributor in Florida is holding a trade show in Orlando in a
Okay.
couple of weeks, and I've got a new partner who's got a wine distribution business, so he's going with me.
Okay.
So last year we were at it's called the TPSA, Texas Package Store
Oh,
Association,
yeah, I know what that is.
yeah, in Fort Worth. And we
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
fun there. We had the display, we had the bourbon, yada yada. You and 1,000
Yeah.
other people, right?
Sure.
But we rented a costume. We had an actor, and he dressed up in the costume.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So hang on, let me show you something. Hang on.
All right. We're going to get a picture here. It's cool. Yeah, Dean, I understand that on the Buffalo Trace white mash. Yeah, that's that's cool. It's really cool.
So I made this in my workshop because I have more time on my hands than sleep.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a golden spear, and it's collapsible, but it expands. Ta-da!
Oh, awesome.
And my buddy is going to wear the Centurion costume and go around and ask people if you like my big stick.
That's awesome.
And
That
you
should
can't
be
really
entertaining.
tell, but the all the markings are the
Oh,
Norse
wow,
mythology markings. Yeah, I carved
That's
them in.
awesome.
The oak leaf cluster is silver rather. The oak leaf is Joe is lieutenant colonel, so that's a tribute to Joe because that's the oak leaf cluster.
Okay. Yeah, my dad
And
retired as lieutenant colonel, so yeah, that's
you can
awesome.
see some of these are like the sergeant stripes
Very cool.
in combination with Odin's. If you look at Odin and stuff, they've had
Yeah.
so on both sides. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're going to bring that and walk around New Orlando Convention Center with the spear and say, come try my big stick. So
Yeah, exactly. Give it a whirl. That's very cool. Yeah, so Dean, if you can go check him out when he's Dean's near Houston, so I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll be around there doing some tastings some in the near future.
Yeah.
Check
We're
that
on
out.
Instagram and Facebook. We try and advertise when we can a week or so in advance, at least
Okay.
2 or 3 days.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we're
That's
working
very
on
cool.
some closer relationships with some of the stores to be on a special category where they
Okay.
can actually do the tastings in the store even when we're not present.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, there's a store here you'd probably be a big fan called Mirage Fine Spirits in Colleyville that would love to have you, I'm sure, at their store. They're always having really cool reps in there, and they have a really good tasting bar that the
Okay.
reps leave them. So that's probably a good store for you guys to go in and check it out.
Send me the reference and I'll look them
Okay,
up.
I'll send it. I'll text you their number and everything, so you can check them out.
That'd be great. So
That
yeah,
way
we're gonna have Odin's spear and
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes,
And in fact-
exactly. Oh, I like that, Donald. If I had a big stick, I wouldn't care if they liked it or not. Exactly. It's an awesome. It's very cool. I like that. That's a really awesome prop.
And then I'm sure I'll get to Dallas at some point in time. But I can get you one of these. Ta-da.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love to have one of those. That's fantastic. We do love wearing whiskey shirts. That's pretty much my entire collection of clothing is whiskey shirts. I mean, this is one from my buddy, the Whiskey Dick.
Well, I
his
guess
channel.
because we have a sense of humor, these are dry fit shirts, so you can use them while you're exercising.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. Oh gosh, that's great.
So one of our neighbors, our corporate photographer is Melissa. Anyways, she's a great lady, sweet lady. She looks like every other mom walking down the streets of town. But 10 or 12 years ago, she was a captain in the U.S. Army, and she carried a machine gun inside a Hummer. She was responsible for 90 people in her company. She did supply chain command. She resupplied forward operating bases in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, she carried a machine gun, 10, 12 years ago. She's shooting people. Now she's shooting pictures for our bourbon. But she and her husband and their friends do the CrossFit. We sponsor the CrossFit teams.
Oh, okay, cool.
So here are these guys, sweating and carrying logs and doing all this stuff with the Big Stick whiskey.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
that's very cool. I like that. That's awesome. Yeah, this will be good. This is very cool.
So we'll tell you, it's unusual, but try the cinnamon whiskey in an old fashioned.
All right, we'll give it
When
a
you
whirl.
make it like at a party for friends, I think you'll be amazed at how great it really is. That's what really surprised. That's one of the surprises that I guess I found out.
Well, I can make one real quick. Hold on, let me grab a couple of ingredients. We might as well try this while you're here. I mean, it only seems fair and fun at this point in time. So, grab a couple here things from behind the bar. While we do that, grab a rocks glass. Not going to bother with ice because that's downstairs and that's effort. So, we'll grab that. Grab this.
Have my usual.
I'm going to do with my usual recipe and see and swap this out for the usual stuff I'm using. See what we think here. So let's go. Interested to see how this works out. All right. Let's give this a whirl. All right. So we got, that's what I want. This.
Stick with my little.
Yes. Grab a simple syrup. We're almost ready here. Let's see. There it is. All that good stuff. All right. All right. Don't die, kid. It's for the best.
It's for science.
That's right. Remember,
mankind.
You're not wrong, Cohen. Kids do love root beer schnapps. The funny story, Cohen, that was the very first bottle of alcohol I ever bought when I turned 21 was root beer schnapps, Cohen. So that's true. So that's pretty funny. All right. Let's pour this in. See what we think of this. This is interesting. Usually I actually use mine with scotch. Interested to see how this is. Alrighty. That. Some Luxardo. Some Grand Gala. And some simple syrup, and then some aromatic bitters. Okay. And of course, there we go. Let's see what we think of this. I like lots of bitters, so let's see what we think. It smells good. That's actually really good. I actually really like that. That's shocking how good that is and dangerous.
See? There you go. Not my words. Not my
words.
That's
fun. I would never have ever done that otherwise. That's really cool. Ooh, that's a great cocktail.
One ice cube in that, and then you'll release all the aromatics, and it'll get even better.
Yeah, I'll have to grab one of those and make another one when the show's over.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's what you gave the girls in high school, Cohen? Well, hey, whatever works. So, whatever makes you happy. Oh, that's too funny.
I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you just never know, but that's fun. Because usually, that's really cool.
Well, like I said, I'm paranoid about the quality. So the cinnamon stick is it's what you see is what you get. If God didn't make it, we didn't put it in the bottle, right? So
it's only fair.
There's no sugar syrups. There's no artificial caramel color. There's no artificial vanilla, in there.
It's just stick. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, because that's the thing I found with a lot of cinnamon flavored in general is it's either too sugary sweet or, like I said, it's fake. It's just not good. That's just a really nice that's added in there. It's just the cinnamon stick, which is just really cool because I didn't even realize the stick was in there.
Yeah.
But that's so cool. You guys have the extra stick in there.
And if you notice, the color is crimson. It actually is a Marine Corps crimson. You can always say it's Aggie crimson, so that's close.
Yeah,
it's red compared to the others, which are more caramely and brown. This is actually a crimson color.
That's very cool. Yeah, and I like the nice floating to the bottom. Those are always fun. Adds character to the whiskey, I
It's
always say.
authentic. Yeah.
Exactly. It's good. So Dean wants to know will the Big Stick Rye become more readily available in the Bourbon and Houston area at some point in time?
We should have some left now. There's, I think, 12 or 13 total wines in the area.
Okay.
So there should be some on the shelves. The old distributor, long story short, they screwed up. Some stores got 4 or 5 cases of rye and none of cinnamon.
Oh,
and
jeez.
vice versa. Instead of giving like each store 3 cases of each,
Yeah.
some had all of one or all of the other. It's like I don't know how hard this
Well,
is.
we call that lovely distributorship. Unfortunately.
And so I would suggest going on the store's website and checking their inventory, by store. That's probably your safest bet. And they're just calling ahead because sometimes a lot of times they didn't even put it on the shelf. I was up in the overhead bin, and I'd have to go in. There'd be empty shelf space, and our boxes are up on top. It's
Thanks,
like, guys, do you think you could put it on the shelf so people could sell it?
Would help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, for a little company, that's just a kiss of death.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We advertise it. You like it. Obviously, people like it.
Yeah.
It's in the inventory in the store says it's in the store. It's like, okay, success. It's like, it's on the top shelf. It's buried behind 4 other boxes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said, we're very selective who we have on our channel, guys. So I think you guys know if this wasn't good, we wouldn't have him on. Like I said, I was very skeptical. I was like, sure, whatever. And I was very pleasantly surprised all these are actually really good. So I would recommend giving them a whirl, certainly. I think they're quite nice. That's true, Cohen. Coolers did work well in the 80s. That's a good point. So Don would like to know, what kind of cinnamon are you using? He's very into the culinary arts. So what kind of cinnamon is it?
So this is, I believe it's called cinnamon. I think it's the cassis. It's the stick version.
Okay.
It's available through restaurant supply stores.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, there's multiple kinds of cinnamon. You can overdo it.
Sure.
The stronger cinnamons we didn't use. There are stronger, more flavorful ones available.
Okay.
I think that's overkill.
Okay.
So again, it's like it's personal preference, right?
Sure.
But that's the size of it.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that's right, Tom. Distribution is literally a cartel system. Depends on same in every other non-ABC. This is validly very true. Sadly true. Yeah, it cannot be Vietnamese to be too hot and too powdered too expensive. Yeah, that's valid. I'm sure it's not Vietnamese. Says he saw that last week at Total Wine. They had operator looking on the top shelves for Castle and Key. Yeah, exactly. They don't put stuff where it's supposed to, and it sucks. Like I said, for small guys, it's like, come on. The least you can put them in the damn place where it's supposed to on the shelf.
Well, we've had the rye in the bourbon section, and no, it's just been all over. So we need to get more control over Texas. I think I've got that figured out. I mean,
good.
I've personally visited every store.
Oh, wow.
Every store in Texas that carries us, I've been to. Probably 100. I mean, I take this personally. I'm not the guy that just says, go sell something, good luck. It's like, no, I know where they are. I know the owners. They know me. They got my business cards. They can call me. The chain stores, it's just, sometimes it's just with the distribution. All the store managers love us. I come in the store, they go, oh, he's going to do a tasting. I've sold 3 cases in 1 hour. At this price point, you're lucky to sell 5 bottles in 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it is $70. So it is not the cheapest bindings. But like I said, you're paying for a lot of extra premium stuff here. So
all the sticks are still handmade. There's no easy way around that.
No, there's not.
It just isn't. So
plus 5% goes to military charity, which of course, as you guys all know, we're huge fans of the military and all that stuff. With basically our entire family's in the military, so it's very important to us.
Let's talk about the charities for a bit. So one of them, Joe likes to surf, so we did the Warrior Surf Foundation.
Okay, very cool.
Which is also, it doubles as PTSD training classes.
Okay,
so it's actually a 12-week program in Florida where you go in for classes, and then part of the, I guess you want to call it the focusing and the stress relief is they teach you how to surf.
Oh, that's cool.
So if I'm not a golfer, but I know I've golfed before, and similar to golf or anything like that, you golf, you can't focus on anything else, right?
Right. That's
You have to
valid.
clear your mind and you focus on that, and all the cares of the world go away, and that's why a lot of people do it. Same thing. The other one is like a We Defy Foundation, and that's a jujitsu training for physical fitness for people that have been disabled or lost limbs or something like that. The most recent one last quarter was the Canines for Warriors.
Oh, very cool.
Because training a service dog costs a lot of money.
Right.
So if we can give them some money to provide a couple service dogs, for different vets, then so be it.
Okay. Awesome.
One of the guys I know, locally, the foundation. There's two here. The Marine Corps Coordinating Council of Houston. We sponsored or helped to sponsor the yearly ball.
Okay. Awesome.
Marine Corps. 2019 or 2020, I believe, was the year of COVID. And it was the only ball that was held that was in person in America.
Wow.
The folks in Houston, they were cautioned you had to wear a mask, but it was held in person.
Oh, awesome.
The only one in the entire country. And they said,
amazing.
No, we're doing it in person. We're not going to have a virtual birthday ball.
Yeah, because it sounds terrible.
And then the other one is friends of mine run Semper Fi 3 here in Houston. There are different Semper Fi's. Semper Fi 3 is a memorial honor guard because for funeral services, they don't pay for the honor guards anymore for the last 10 years. The government doesn't pay for that. So if you want them to show up in dress blues and the rifle report and the flag ceremony, you've got to pay for that. Okay. And so these guys do that. And my wife and I went to a funeral last June, I believe. Mm-hmm. And God bless them. These guys are all retired. They're in dress blues in the June summer heat, in full dress uniform, carrying the M1 on their shoulder. Yeah. Sitting out in the hot sun, waiting for the funeral to take place. And, God bless them. Right. And they get on the bus, and the last thing they need like 3 bottles of water, just to
have no doubt. Oh, yeah. I know my wife's grandfather was a Korean War vet and is a Purple Heart recipient. He was a Marine, and so they were able to do his funeral back in 2011. So I can definitely. I think it was a July funeral. So super pleasant.
Yeah. So so I'm very honored to know all these guys. Yeah. So we put our money where our mouth is. We show up for these events in person.
It's fantastic.
Talk to people. We're not absentee owners. No.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, like I said, once we get our place that's being built open, we'd love to have you come up here and do a charity event with you guys. That'd be great.
That'd be great. Yeah, love to. Yeah.
So that'll be very cool. All right. Anything else? I know you said about an hour. We're at an hour at this point.
You tell me any questions out there from.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? I know Dean says he'll probably check you guys. He's got a crash. So thanks, Dean. Good to see you. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll say goodnight to you guys, and me and Michael check after the show. Welcome. I mean, that some people do. I have no doubt they do.
So we're also we're in stores as far as Midland, Odessa. We're out there. You can ask for it.
Okay. What are some other things? What I know you said you're in 12 states. What states are you in? People can get an idea. They can't find on the shelf.
So if you can't find on the shelf, liquor laws are different by states. We have partners on the website. We've got 4 different mail order places. You can mail order from there's California. There's one in New York, and there's 2 in Florida.
Okay. Cool.
For mail order. So you can, like, I've had other Marines call me and say, I've got a friend in Ohio. It's like, we're not in Ohio, but pick one of these partners and you can FedEx it to a buddy in Ohio.
Awesome. Very cool.
So the states that we're in for current distribution: New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, California, Wisconsin, Illinois. I think that's it.
Okay, awesome.
And hopefully soon to be opening up, I think, South Carolina and Minnesota, probably.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, like Don's over at Discord. Of course, also
we'll be happy to if you want to volunteer to do some bottling, Matt.
There you go. Because you guys said your bottling's down there. What near Austin? You said is where you're bottling at?
Yeah, Liberty Hill, Texas. We figured it's it makes sense. Another Marine.
Yeah, that's cool though.
He owns a distillery in Liberty Hill, and
Okay.
he's agreed to do the bottling. So yeah.
You said that's a little north Austin. You said.
Yes, 30 minutes or so north of Austin.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, coming down that way in about a month, so I might hit you up and see if we can at least come check out the bottling line.
But yeah, just call me.
Okay, I'll give you a call. So make that happen.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're doing great. I mean, we're still a tiny company. Less than half a dozen people.
Okay.
But I like to think we have a good product. We're starting to get a lot of attention, a lot of YouTube viewers, a lot of Instagram hits.
Awesome.
And I think in general, I mean, my feeling is that this year is everybody says, COVID's not stopping me. I'm done. I'm over that.
Right.
And so life's getting back to normal, and people are calling me. A lot of the states, even in the last year, wouldn't allow me there to do sales calls with the sales reps.
Seriously?
They gave me a list of clients that said, "Good luck. Go on your. If you want to call, you've got to visit the state and make sales calls on your own without the distributors." Because of COVID. Super. And so it's been rough. I mean, that's really our biggest impediment is you can't give people a taste if you can't give more, right?
Right, and that's the hardest thing about whiskey in general is if they can't taste it, it's almost impossible to sell it. Yeah, they got to taste it. That's for sure. Hey, Benjamin Hunter, good to see you. Yeah, so I guess we have a lot of friends in like Canada. Are you guys gonna eventually try to get to like Canada and some other countries, or just focus on the States for now?
So the answer is yes. One of our distributors does business in Canada, and we are talking to them about expanding. I've also done this for anybody that's out there for what it's worth. One of our a good friend of mine works for a very large computer company, and they bought 100 or so bottles. I don't know what's that 15 cases or so, 20 cases, and so we had them engraved.
Very cool.
And let's see here. I can show you. So we can do engraving on pretty much anything.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool.
So these are laser etched. We had the company name laser etched.
Yeah.
And had it shipped out to their customers in different states.
Very cool.
So and so whatever you want,
That's awesome. Now, are you guys available on any of the Class 6s at all yet?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you guys available on any of the Class 6s at all yet?
I'm sorry.
Not yet. Oh, it's in the Class 6s at the bases. Are you guys available on any of the?
The NEX and the PX and the
Are you guys available those yet?
The AFEs.
And AFEs.
We've applied for some of those. We have applied for some of those. We don't have approval just yet.
Okay. Yeah, because like I said, my dad's in the service, so for 20 years in the Air Force. So we go to Carswell a lot out here, which now it's Naval Joint Reserve Base.
Oh, that's right, New Mexico.
New Mexico too. Okay,
awesome. We just got into New Mexico. Yeah, a little while ago. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's helpful.
There's supposed to be a very big. I think there's a big bourbon club in Albuquerque on Facebook. I think the group is 1,400 members.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you ought to send them a link. Get on with them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I read that in a magazine. They've got like 1,400 for Albuquerque. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Man. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. That's cool. Does anybody else have any other questions? Are we good for the evening? All the cool sciencey stuff, which of course I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, Violet. I know you like science too. I'm fully aware. Yeah. Like Canada has the LCBO. This may become the best available bourbon there. You can only hope, right? Only the largest buyer of whiskey in the entire world.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, well, Minnesota's pretty close. We'll get close. We'll probably get.
We call it Lower Canuckistan. So what can you say?
So I think Canada is a viable market. It's just and also if anybody has contacts out there that can help me out, Japan.
Oh, Japan, that'd be cool. Japan does love bourbon. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, India and Japan. Fun fact about whiskey. I mean, Indians they love Scotch mostly.
Yeah, that's for sure. Right?
Japan is whiskey. and they appreciate all of the craft that goes into something like this. They're very much appreciative of all the
Right.
the sweat equity that makes this the specialty whiskey. But
Yeah.
I read, and I could be, like I said, I could be wrong. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong. But from what I understand, what Trivial Pursuit question? What's the number one country for bootleg or what do you want to call it? Fake whiskey production, and which whiskey is it?
Fake whiskey production.
Yes, it's counterfeit whiskey.
Man, I wouldn't be surprised if it was India just because they're so big.
They're the receiver.
They're the receiver. Okay. I know there was a story. This is back during COVID. I know, like, South Africa had a major problem with making. A lot of people died from it, from making bad.
And the Philippines and places like that. Yeah, but as I understand it, Saudi Arabia.
Really?
They counterfeit Johnny Walker, and they ship, because India's a big Scotch market. They counterfeit Johnny Walker and ship it
That's
to
crazy.
maybe it's just a transshipment place. I don't know, but that's what I understand. That's why they're looking at all kinds of anti-counterfeiting devices for international whiskeys. Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, Bourbon Neophyte, good to see you there. That's wow.
But I have made some converts with when they're looking for Scotch in the stores, because this does have the oaky, smoky profile. There's a little bit of that in there.
Yeah, which is nice. Yeah. Ben, it's always the Philippines. Well, it is the Philippines, Ben.
Well, the Philippines makes probably the most dangerous.
Oh, really? There's a lot of things that'll kill you, I assume, are added to it.
So when I've done distilling work before, so when you run the still, obviously the first thing that comes off is the methanol, right? You get methanol, then ethanol, then you get turpentine.
Right.
So when you first, it's not about the proof level, it's obviously about the temperature. You get to that, give or take 170, 175 degree mark, it comes off the still. Well, you can actually smell it. If you smell it when it comes off the still, the methanol smells like sweat socks.
Lovely.
So it's obviously it's not good to drink. And if
No.
you can taste it a little bit, it tastes a lot more oily. But if you rub it between your fingers, you can actually feel it's got a more oily feel.
Okay.
And then eventually it kind of, if you will, it clears up or it thins out in terms of the flavor profile. And then it's like, oh, this is good stuff. Now you taste the good stuff, right? And you can definitely tell. But another fun fact is, if you do get methanol poisoning, do you know what the cure is if you happen to be, unfortunately, in one of these other countries?
I have no idea what it is.
Methanol is absorbed through your skin, and it can actually cause you to go blind because it's absorbed by your organs. Okay. So, but it's absorbed more slowly than ethanol. So the way to cure a potential methanol poisoning is basically to stay drunk for 2 days, because your body will absorb the ethanol first, the ethyl alcohol that is in the. So just drink vodka and stay drunk for 2 days until the methanol works itself out of your system.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So if you're in the hospital in one of these places, they hook you up to an IV and they keep you drunk for 2 days.
Wow, that's
a hard way to do it. I know.
I was like, yeah, I mean, if that's the worst, I mean, the hangover is probably horrible, but
hey, it's science,
better than dying, that's for sure.
So because your body will metabolize the ethanol, the methanol never gets a chance to enter into your organ system.
Huh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So Ben, his wife is Filipino, so he says he has to ask his wife about this.
Well, some of the resorts, the Dominican Republic and Mexico, they have the bottles in your room, right?
Right.
We've been to Cancun. The bottles are in your room and you can have a drink.
Sure.
And I've tried some of that stuff, and it doesn't taste like the same stuff you get on the shelf, even with the brand name label.
Yeah, it's funky usually. It's like, you probably get what you pay for.
It's the same. I personally don't trust it, but
no,
it says, I'm not going to say the name of the label of the rum, but it doesn't taste like the stuff we get in the States.
No, because I remember on our honeymoon, we were at all inclusive, this is 20 years ago, but it's like, it's 24 hours, pour your own booze. I'm like, this can't be good. This is not going to end well for anyone. I was like, it's no name, whatever. It's whiskey or vodka or gin.
Yeah,
You've
no,
never heard of. It's like, no.
no.
This
But
is
even the name brand, products that you get in the States,
yeah, they just water them down or
they didn't
add
taste
God
right to
knows
me
what to
either.
them.
No. So
No, at least if I guess at that point you're probably safer with beer. It's sealed.
correct, because it's sealed. Yeah.
Yeah, because God knows what's been added to those bottles. That no bad things happen.
I know
Oh
in
yeah,
the
good
bars
point. Don't drink the water either. Good point. Yeah, I
yeah.
made the mistake of having ice cream, not thinking at a McDonald's in Mexico, not thinking that there's water in that. That ended poorly.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was not a. It took like 8 Imodiums to leave the country. It was not fun.
Well, another friend of mine that's traveled to places, overseas in these various countries, you can eat the street food, but the way to survive is after you eat the street food, you got to go
Yeah,
back to your hotel and take 2 shots of vodka. And
I
the
bet that's
vodka
good.
will kill any parasites that are in your stomach.
That's
So
a
you've
good.
got to have a
Good.
nightcap of whiskey or vodka if you're going to eat something like that.
It's a good idea. I never thought about that. It's a
Yeah.
good idea. It's good to know for future reference. If
Right.
I go to
A little safety tip there. So
see, you never know what you'll learn here.
Yeah.
Safety tip: to eat food in foreign countries that might kill you.
Yeah.
Have 2 shots of vodka. You'll be
have
fine.
2 shots of vodka afterwards, and you'll probably be okay. Right.
Must be what the Russians drink so much of it. That's all I can come up with.
Yeah. Well, an interesting fact about vodka. I've got half a dozen. You can't really tell up top here. I have
Yeah.
some Russian vodka, and I used to work with a guy who is from that area, and he'd always bring me back a bottle when he came. And the Russian vodka tastes different.
Oh, totally different. Yeah.
And it's because they have different purity standards, but it's made from potatoes. I've got one that's made from the bark of a birch tree,
Oh, that's wild.
which has a little bit of a like a spearmint kind of a flavor to it, and just all kinds of other stuff in there. But I love it. It's a lot better because in
It's a lot
America, technically, so in America we have vodka has to be 80 proof. Period.
Right.
Has to be distilled to 180 to 190 proof. Well, 200 is perfect, right? 180 to 190 is almost pure grain alcohol.
Right.
And so all you do is dilute it with water. So in reality, what you're probably tasting is more water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can use spring water, tap water, city water, reverse osmosis, yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
But vodka is primarily vodka. And if you're going to mix it in a drink, you're not going to taste anything.
Right.
You
Right.
mix it in a cocktail. So that's why it's not all that, necessarily bad. But there are some better vodkas, in America, so.
Yeah, I do like that. Have you had that Polish, the Zubrovka, that bison grass vodka that has the bison grass in the bottle? You ever tried that one? That's really good vodka.
Well, same concept, with, it's got a little flavor to it, right?
Yeah, it's got a little flavor. Exactly. It's why it tastes so much better. Yeah. I find like craft distilleries vodka is decent, but like Master's vodka is just awful in this country.
Well, I know that like I think in the last year, the TTB legally changed the requirements for vodka. So you can now, before it had to be odorless, tasteless, colorless. That was the legal standard.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, of course you could say it's lemon vodka and I add lemon flavoring.
Sure.
Right, but vodka by itself had to be odorless, tasteless, colorless, ethanol, alcohol. And so they recently loosened up the standards slightly. So you could, in theory, add a little bit more flavor to it and still call it just vodka.
Interesting.
So that market may change drastically, but in general, that whole consumption market for vodka is shrinking.
Yeah.
The only one that's actually rising is the super premium whiskeys.
Oh, okay.
That's increasing higher than the rate of inflation. So there's a good thing.
Wow. Yeah, as I saw the other day, I guess for the first time spirits outsold beer.
Yeah.
First time ever, which is wild. Yeah. I mean, you think from a bang from your buck, you're way better off buying a spirit than you are buying beer.
Oh, yeah.
It makes no sense. I mean, you might have a bottle of booze for, a few weeks, a month, whatever, however, depending on how you drink. I mean, a year, whatever. Whereas a beer, it's gone when you open, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, the average 750 mil, it depends. If you're generous, it's 20 pours. If it's normal, it's about 25, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, I'd much rather have 25 drinks of this than 25 beers. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So Costs about the same, but well, I guess that's not true. You get a lot of cheap, crappy beers for that money.
There's some beer that a couple 6-packs is more than one of these bottles.
Yeah, that's valid.
The craft beer is getting very expensive too.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It's like you want $15 for 4 beers?
Yeah,
or more. So 20,
yeah.
25, depending where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's funny, Cohen. Fred Minnick's favorite vodka is Ascot Supreme. Well, that's probably true. So, Super Premium is Thanks Diageo. Yeah, beer's a rental business. Yeah, valid point. You rent it and you release it. That's true. I mean, technically, I guess true whiskey. At least it would have a little bit longer life inside your body at that point in time.
Well, I mean, for me, obviously, the American whiskey. It's got all the the character, the history and the legacy, and the pioneer spirit. Is part of it. People reinventing themselves and doing something different, and we figured it was our time to be a part of that.
Exactly. It's a good time. It's a good time to be in the whiskey business. I think in general in America, the golden age of whiskey is certainly upon us.
I think we're just getting started. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good, and doing a hell of a good job at that. So,
thank you very much.
Any other questions? Anybody else? Otherwise, me and Mike will talk by ourselves afterward here. So, coming up this week, we're going to have the Starlight Port Finish Bourbon is going to be the review for tomorrow. We're going to have the Lost Towermory on Thursday, and I think this week will be the Blackberry from DeCoopers for the liqueur for this week. And you're going to love that one. You see Will's love reaction to that one. So, yeah, very entertaining for you guys. And so once again, like I said, remember we got the Patreon now and all that good fun stuff and the Discord and everything. So we will see you guys all next week. And thank you, Mike. And just hang out right there. And we will see everybody else next week. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.